Joining us now is the Transport Secretary, Mark Harper. Do you agree with Penny Mordaunt that the Prime Minister was wrong to leave that event early?
Well, look, the Prime Minister himself said he was at the events in Portsmouth, he was at all the British events in Normandy, and he himself said, on reflection, that leaving the leaders' event in Normandy early was a mistake. He said that very clearly. I think it was good that he came out and said that, and he apologised both to the country and also to those veterans. And I completely agree with what he said.
Do you agree with what Penny Mordaunt said, that he was completely wrong?
I agree with what the Prime Minister said. He said it was a mistake. He was very upfront about it. He said it was a mistake. He shouldn't have done it, and he regretted it, and he's apologised to both the country and those veterans. But look, I think you can see the amount he cares about veterans by what he's actually done in government. We've got a Veterans Minister, we've got a separate Office for Veterans Affairs, we've done a lot to strengthen the military covenant, and we've already set out in this election campaign what we're going to do to enshrine those veterans' rights in law. So I think if you judge someone by their actions in government, he's made it very clear how much he cares and supports about veterans. And yes, he made a mistake. People make mistakes, and he's apologised for that.
But judging someone by their actions, not staying to the end of an event is an action, isn't it? Penny Mordaunt said last night that she wanted veterans to feel treasured. Do you think the Prime Minister is out of touch with how the nation feels about veterans and how they perhaps would have reacted to that decision to leave early?
No, I think that was why the Prime Minister apologised, because I think he does recognise that people will have been hurt by that. He's been very affected, I know, over the last few days by all of the veterans that he's met, both in Portsmouth but also in Normandy. He's had a chance to talk to them and their families about their experiences, and I know that's moved him. And I think he's been in government from the moment.
Why did that not then lead him to say, oh, hang on, this is my schedule, why are we leaving early? Wouldn't that... You know, if you have been moved by something, wouldn't that have perhaps changed something in his mind? I mean, he said that this was set out weeks ago. This has nothing to do with the election campaign. But surely somebody should have said, hang on, this is going to look a bit odd that you're leaving early.
Well, look, I don't know the detailed mechanics of what thinking went on, but as he said, look, these plans were set out quite some time ago, before the election was underway. And look, he accepts, look, he's been very clear about it. It was a mistake. He's apologised for that, been very straightforward about it. And as I said, I think if you look at his track record since he became Prime Minister, he's actually put the interests of veterans first, and we've made some very clear commitments. You know, I sit in the Cabinet with Johnny Mercer, fantastic Veterans Minister, and I think the fact that he's in the Cabinet demonstrates how much the Prime Minister cares about veterans. And yes, look, he made a mistake and he's apologised for that, and I think that's very clear.
Why swerve an opportunity to appear statesmanlike for a Prime Minister? Why would a Prime Minister do that?
Well, look, he was at the events this week. He was at the events in Portsmouth. He was at all of the British events that were taking place in Normandy. And look, he made a mistake. I mean, you can keep asking me the question, but look, he's accepted. He made a mistake, and he's apologised for it.
And I may accept that he made a mistake. I'm just trying to find out why that decision was made and what was going on in the Prime Minister's head or in the heads of those around him. Because it would seem that when these diaries are written, as you say, you know, it often planned weeks in advance. No members of his team spotted it. No members of his PR team spotted it. Surely an ambassador must have pointed out the optics of this are going to look odd if you're not there, but all of the other leaders there and Biden has come across.
Well, look, I don't know the details of the thinking that took place. He was at all of the British events that took place, and that was clearly his priority, to meet British veterans and to honour the British service personnel that took place in the D-Day landings and the new memorial that's there that I know people will hugely value. So he focused on all of those British events, but he's accepted that not staying for the leaders' event later in the day was a mistake, and he's apologised for that. And I think that's very clear that he's done that, and I agree with exactly what he said.
Is this a critical blow for the campaign? Is this the moment that the Conservatives have definitely lost this election?
No, I don't agree with that. I mean, look, it was a mistake, but we've been very clear in this election about the clear choice that's facing the country, that we've set out around our wish to continue cutting taxes, as we have done this year, reducing national insurance. We've been clear that Labour's made a number of commitments that would lead them to increase taxes by £2,000 for working people in the next Parliament. You know, today I'm announcing that a Conservative government would not go forward with plans for pay-per-mile road pricing, which we know Labour in London are working on. The Mayor of London's got his project to do this. We know Labour in Wales are thinking about doing it. And the last time Labour was in power nationally, they were going to implement road pricing until there was a massive public backlash. And I think that choice is clear for people. Higher taxes under Labour, lower taxes under the Conservatives.
You've got your manifesto launch coming up as well soon, but do you think this can save the campaign?
Well, look, I hope that manifesto will help frame that choice for people that we've already set out. It'll be very clear, I think, for people that big choice that they face, not just on tax, where Labour will bring in those higher taxes, but, for example, on defence. You know, one of the things that will be important for not just veterans, but those that care about our national security is our 2.5% of national income pledge on defence to deal with the more uncertain, threatening world that we're in. That's a pledge that's not been matched by the Labour Party. They haven't committed to doing that.
They have said they will commit to the 2.5%. They just haven't given a concrete time frame.
They haven't given a time frame, and they have no means to pay for it. We've been clear. We've committed to it. We've set out how we're going to pay for it, and we've set out that would start immediately and go up in equal measure until we got to 2030. So we've set out our plans to properly defend the country, and I think people will look clearly at that choice as they make their decision on the 4th of July.
You're today, as you mentioned, here to talk about plans to scrap ULEZ and reduce the low traffic neighbourhoods and the 20-mile-per-hour zones. There's been an improvement in air quality in London. It's definitely been an improvement for asthma sufferers in the capital. Are the Conservatives now the anti-environment party?
No, just to be clear on the ULEZ commitment, it's not to scrap ULEZ, it's to roll back the expansion of ULEZ that took place recently to outer London. And the reason for that is twofold. One is, for a start, that has nothing to do with air quality. The Mayor of London's own impact assessment said the expansion of ULEZ to outer London would have a minor to negligible impact on air quality. It wasn't about air quality, it was about taxing drivers and forcing the poorest motorists off the road. It also affected a lot of people from outside London who have to come into London to work, for example, people in public services who work, shift work. They had no say in this. They have no democratic control over the Mayor of London, and they're impacted by it, which is why we've said we're going to reverse the expansion of ULEZ. Keep it in the centre of London, but reverse the expansion.
But Sadiq Khan won convincingly another term in May on his record of ULEZ. So it would seem that the people of London and maybe the outskirts aren't quite as opposed to ULEZ as the Conservative Party might think.
Well, if you look at how people voted in outer London, they actually didn't vote for Sadiq Khan. They actually voted for the Conservative candidate, Susan Hall, who had pledged to reverse that expansion. Yes, he won overall. He didn't win in outer London. And also, those people affected by ULEZ outside London didn't get a vote on it.
OK, Mark Harper, we'll leave you there. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you.